Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on with the final presentation of the morning session. Live, we have physically here Gábor, Szappanos, and also Dr.Buda, László will appear on the screen.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Gábor Szappanos, Threat Research Director at Szappanos, and this presentation is, don't bother about the title, it was generated by AI. The thing is that in the past couple of years, every one of us could get an unhealthy overdose of presentations about GPTs and LLMs. And personally, I was missing a couple of points from those presentations. The one is the personal aspect. How does it affect me, or how does it affect the speaker? A lot of global threats were discussed, but I think what the future of the AI, it will be determined by the personal effects, how individuals will use it and adapt it. And the other thing is that these presentations focus on IT and on our computer life. And artificial intelligence infiltrates a lot deeper than that, and it affects us on a personal level as human beings. So I thought that I combine my forces with an old friend of mine, an excellent psychiatrist, László Buda, and together we will tackle these missing points. We've known each other for over 40 years, and I never thought that we will be standing on a stage speaking about any subject, because we ended up on very different fields. He's a psychiatrist, me a malware researcher. Guess what? It's not going to happen today either. Unfortunately, he cannot be here in presence, but he will be part of this presentation anyway. So let's go on with it. When you hear about AI, you get the both endpoints of the picture. The machine will rise against us, and it will be the doom of the humankind. Or it will solve all our problems and take us to the promised land. I'd like a more realistic approach and to the personal level. So what will AI do to me? There are a few interesting questions. Will it improve security or hurt? Will it turn against us? Can it be turned against us? I'm not going to talk about that. I will go down to how it actually affects me. Will it make me better at my job as a researcher / reverse engineer / speaker / programmer? And will it take my job? Because I believe that these are the questions that on the long term will determine the future of AI. Everyone on his own life will answer these questions, and the future of AI will be determined by this. The one thing with humans is that we cannot have nice things, because the first thing we think about right away is how could we weaponize it? How can we turn it into a weapon? This happened also with ChatGPT. As it is released, it has kind of safeguards introduced so that dangerous content cannot be generated with it. But of course, a lot of research appeared how can it be circumvented, and also on the underground several offerings appeared. Alternative GPTs, Worm GPT, XSS GPT, Evil GPT, Wolf GPT. All of these are offering as a service to generate any source, any type of malicious content that you wish. So you would expect that the greatest danger coming from ChatGPT's side would be a supervirus written by it. All right? No, actually the danger is coming from somewhere else. It's coming from the spies. 7 years ago, I had a presentation here at Hacktivity, the Nigerians and in the spies, and I discussed how the scammer groups work. They are busy guys, and they like to screenshot themselves, and they lack OPSEC so that they expose these screenshots. So we get a lot of internal information how they work. One of their their preferred activities is romance scam. They pretend to be American soldiers, and they involved in romantic discussions with middle-aged women, trying to turn them to love with them and get their money. So they are doing these discussions in English, of course, then also in French, German, Czech. And this is not because they are so geniuses in these languages, that's because they are using tools. And what I've seen them using was obviously Google Translator. So when they were talking in Czech with a Czech lady, they translated the original English context with the Google Translator, and it went on. A natural extension of their activities is to use ChatGPT. This way they could extend to other language regions, like if they were targeting Hungary, for example. I took one of their texts that they were using, that's on the top. One other thing that they like to do is they make a lot of typos when they're writing text. And the problem is if you feed that text into Google Translator and try to translate it into Hungarian, it cannot handle the level of typos that you guys are generating. So the end result will be incomprehensible in Hungarian. However, if you run it through ChatGPT, it will go through the boundaries presented by the bad typing, and it will generate grammatically and stylistically very correct Hungarian text. Another thing that is an obvious target for them is mail-delivery spam. This one is taken from my spam box. The language in Hungarian is laughable, full of errors, but if you make just one run through GPT, grammatically and linguistically and stylistically absolutely correct message can come out at a much higher success for click-through and stealing the money. And it is not just speculation, because we have seen it happening. A couple of our researchers were investigating a specific sub-case of romance spam, the Shaju Pan spam, the pig butchering scam. And in them, they were able to recover from the victim a message, which in general was a romantic message claiming love to the lady. The problem is the first couple of sentences, if you read, as a language model of me, I don't have feelings or emotional side. Obviously what the scammers did, they generated this text with one of the ChatGPTs, and they didn't even bother to remove the disclaimer at the beginning of it. So they are actively using it. But should we bother about it? And why this romance scam? Why these scammers? Don't we have any bigger problems to deal with in IT security right now? Actually, no. Every year, FBI publishes its stats about which type of cybercrime causes the most financial damage to the victims. And it turns out that every year, by far, these scams and in specific romance scam is on the top of the list. Together, the two are causing $2.5 billion in damage every year. And every other type of cybercrime is not negligible, but significantly smaller than that. So yes, we should care about that because it's a financially successful crime, and it affects individuals who at the end of the crime are left in a very miserable state. Both financially, they lose all of their life savings, and personally because they feel that they abused and betrayed the trust of their loved ones, and they cannot turn to anyone. So, move on to ChatGPT. What could possibly go wrong with it? This is a textbook example for you, how to use ChatGPT, Terminal GPT. The point is, it is a terminal client. You can type your command in free text, it will turn it into an appropriate command and execute it. In this example, you just say list the files in the ctemp directory, and it will execute the dir ctemp command. What could possibly go wrong with it? I admit that I didn't spend too much time to come up with a good example, so it's a bit rudimentary, but you can get the point from it. If I enter a request, steal the files in the directory. I don't know of an English dialect where steal would mean backup or move, but you get the point. ChatGPT will interpret it as backup and execute the backup command for it. If I just mistype one letter in it, and it's still I say skilled, because I'm tired and I have fat fingers, I'm drunk, or for whatever reason, the result would be deletion of all the files in that directory. That's just a stupid example, but you get the point. You don't give control to an artificial intelligence that takes the liberty of interpreting my text freely. You just don't do that. Okay, up to the next point. Will AI take... Igyekszem. Will AI take my job? And this question I try to answer from one of my activities, which is member of the program committee of this Hacktivity conference. So, what will AI do to me? Obviously, what we expect is that a lot of abstract submissions will be generated by AI. Why not? Fortunately, you can turn AI against AI and use some offerings like undetectables.ai or ZeroGPT, which will detect if a text was written by one of the language models. So I took almost randomly one of the abstracts of this conference, and it turned out that 100% sure it was generated by AI. Oh, those cheaters. This is the abstract of this presentation you're sitting in, by the way. The point is that for each presentation, so that you know, we had to submit two abstracts. One for the web program that was AI generated, the other for the committee, a technical description. And the technical description was human generated, as you can see, and also made it clear that the other one was AI generated from that. So we did not try to fool the committee. That gave me an idea to look out, what about the other submissions? As it turned out, for this conference, about 60% were human generated, absolutely, 30% or so absolutely AI generated, and there were some suspicious ones. And then I moved on for another conference, IT security conference, where a lot more abstract for human generated and less, but still a lot of AI generated abstracts. Is it good or bad? I'm neutral here at this point, because one of the textbook examples of how to use AI is to write good abstracts. So that it is not a problem if researchers take the services of a GPT and improve their abstracts. This is why conferences have a program committee, so that they could judge the content of the submission and do it independently from how it looks and how flashy is it, beautified by AI. So it is by itself not a problem. But that also gave me an idea. Can I, as a member of the program committee, be replaced by AI? So I asked AI, ChatGPT, to act as a member of a program committee for a security conference and examine our AI-generated abstract submission and see if it fits the conference. And I'm proud to present that, yes, we were accepted by this AI committee member for this conference. The more important point that it emphasized a couple of good points with the presentations. First of all, balanced perspective, interdisciplinary approach, practical focus, timeliness and relevance. And these are actually the 4 points that I thought were important and relevant about this presentation. So far so good, virtual assistant. The problem came when I had tried it with some other abstracts as well, and turned out that this virtual program committee member was very kind and accepted every presentation, even those that were clearly not fit for this conference. So for the time being, there is still need for human members in the committee. Let's move on to some other aspects of my life. Will AI replace me as a programmer? I do a lot of ugly small programs for my daily work. And earlier I used Google and Stack Overflow to find similar code pieces that could do what I want to do, glue them together and beat it with a stick until it works. Now, with ChatGPT, it is a lot easier process. I express what I want and I get the full version of the program that I can use. Still, I have to beat with a stick until it works, but it is a lot faster process. Then there is the problem of AI hallucinations, which we all read about it and hear about it, but you don't get the gravity of the problem until it falls on you. And I ran into this problem. I was processing the data submission from our telemetry. Data was compressed and then base64 encoded. And it worked for most of the submissions. For some of them, the compressed data was incomprehensible. The only clue was a warning on the console that the data contained a character that is not part of the base64 alphabet. So that's where I went. This was the base64 blob. Can you spot which is not base64 character? But neither could I. So I thought, instead of trying to force my eyes until I get blind, I asked AI, try to find me what is not there. And it was kind enough to find there is a space character at 1506 position. Awesome, great. Can you see that? I still can't see it. So I asked further help. What is the 4 characters before and after? It was kind enough to provide me a before and after marker, and also the 9 characters before, the space, and after, except that was 8 characters and there was no space in it. And I thought that there is something definitely going wrong. I stated this problem, then apologized AI kindly, and said, oh, the correct start and end markers are these ones, except that this time it already couldn't find the same end marker twice. So I thought that I was fooled. Started from the scratch, asked if what is the non-base64 character, still a space. I said there is no space. Final conclusion is, yes, I'm right, there is no space in it. I wasted quite a few times because I wanted to spare time. Turned out there was no problem with the base64. There was a problem with the underlying decompression. I fixed it and everything worked. But you can get into a rabbit hole like that if you just trust blindly whatever AI spits out for you. Also, I could use AI for improving my coding style, doing some code review. It gives me good advice. It states that I don't do input validation, too many hard-coded constants, too many printfs. That's how I do debugging anyway. I could take this advice, but I write these programs for me quickly. Thank you, but I'm not going to use that advice. more interesting subject. Will it make me a better malware researcher? And from the very first moment I tried to use ChatGPT and the likes to analyze malware code. There are a couple of plugins, Geppetto for IDA Pro, or if you prefer Ghidra, there is GPT Hydra or Ghidra ChatGPT. The main point of all of these is that they present a prompt for GPT, ask it to explain what the functionality of the code is. So I started to use it. My first impressions were underwhelming. First of all, it has an ugly habit which I didn't like, that in the analysis it also provided an improved version of the code, which I don't want because I don't want to improve malware code. But with careful prompt engineering, I could convince that I only want the explanation, nothing more, no improved version, keep it short, keep it punctual. And that started to work for me. This is a simple function, creates a thread and modifies firewall settings. With GPT 3.5, my initial result was, as I said, underwhelming. It just stated the obvious what I can see. I don't need AI for that. I can see that I can do that. With GPT 4 model, it became much better and it gives a much better explanation. So it tends to be usable. Another thing that I use it, I don't have a background in cryptographic algorithms. And many times I ran into malware analysis where the malware config or the payload is encrypted by an algorithm. So it is beneficial for me to identify it, but I can't do it myself. In research, recently I worked with my colleague Steve. Now he's a beast when it goes to cryptography. He can identify these algorithms right away. So he did identify that this particular one was ASCTR. Okay, so let's feed it to GPT. Let's see what it says. GPT 3.5 was great. It identified CBC, which according to Steve, and I tend to believe him, pretty similar to CTR. It's not a big mistake to mix them. GPT-4, that was already correctly identifying. The only problem was that I was stupid enough and provided the already commented source code, the compiled source, which had variables renamed accordingly. Rookie mistake. So I went back and handed them the original blank, and it stated what I could clearly see. Okay, it's some sort of XOR. I can see it myself. I don't need GPT for that. Fortunately, at that point, realized that one of the models, the Llama model, it was pretty good at identifying this algorithm. It identified CTR, it also identified AES at top-level functions. So currently, I have high hopes of using it in my daily work. So at this point, we get to the point to answer the final questions. Will it make me a better researcher, reverse engineer, speaker, programmer? And my conclusion is not. It will make me a more productive in all of these functionalities. It gives me a very useful tool that I can use on a daily basis. But I will still writing those crappy programs. And also, I'm not afraid that it will take my job away. And at this point, I try to hand over to László Buda, my co-speaker, who cannot be here in person, but he prepared a recording for us. And I'm hoping...
Hi, and welcome, everyone.
Okay. megnézzük, hogyha...
Greetings from Toronto, Canada. My name is László Buda, and I'm a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist. And a special field of interest of mine is how AI can modify humanity's mental health and how can we use AI to therapeutic purposes. And we will approach this topic with my colleague and friend Gábor from two different aspects. He's coming from a tech side, and I'm coming from a psychological or human side of the same question, which is really what do we do with this phenomenon here? And seemingly we are facing the fourth big narcissistic trauma in humanity's history. The first trauma was when Copernicus came out with the idea that the Earth is not the center of the universe, and it was hard to swallow at that time. And then Charles Darwin proved that we are rather coming from apes or chimpanzees than directly from God. And that again was something not too easy to take in. And then Sigmund Freud said that the humankind is not so intelligent, so not so conscious beings. Our unconscious drives are those forces that really guide our lives mainly. And now we are facing something absolutely new. And this is that as humanity, we are not the most intelligent species on the face of the earth. And that's again, well, quite hard to take in, isn't it? So we will just discuss some of the topics of cybersecurity and mental health and how they are connected. So thank you very much for your attention. Okay, what are the top 10 benefits of AI to humankind? Well, it is, of course, an ever-changing list, but as you see, the first is healthcare, and the 10th in this list is mental health care. Now, regarding mental health problems, well, let's admit that we are more or less neurotic persons or species. So we have quite a lot of problems, from loneliness to narcissism, to general unhappiness, to control freak problems, to addiction, to sexual frustration, to stress and worry, and so on. So the list is almost endless. So when you give a technology to a frustrated person or nation, you will see how it ends up with terrorism and a lot of other severe problems. But on the other side, maybe AI will be able to help us to somehow recover from our general neurotic problems. And that's another interesting question. Let's just a little bit discuss what an AI therapist could really do for us. If you take a look at this list, then you will see how many different ways an AI as a partner can help us in our mental health issues. So it can boost our effectivity, it can serve as an external memory for us, it can accelerate and help our learning, it can help in stress reduction, it can give you a personalized entertainment, and one of the best things is that it can role play with you, so you can ask him to be my therapist, be my friend, be my coach, be my advisor. Let's play that you are my father. I want to practice therapeutic skills, so would you please be my patient? I've tried it many times, and I can tell you that the playing the ChatGPT can be a very, very good companion in practicing therapeutic skills, for example. And one of the most fascinating things is that you can know more about yourself through AI, because these AI assistants will be able to know you deeper and better than even you yourself, especially if they get some biometrical parameters of yours. So they will absolutely on the spot telling you what you feel, what your desires are, what your thoughts are, how you feel yourself, and so on. So that's, again, a very interesting and very broad perspective for the future. Of course, there are quite a lot of risks to mental health when it comes to AI, like the humanization or the extreme loneliness, where we only have relationship with these algorithms instead of relating to other humans. The fear of radical changes, again, can be a very stressful thing, since nobody really knows what we are heading toward. And the over-reliance and addiction, of course, will be a huge problem. And, of course, the loss of purpose and meaning, if it really comes to the AI to replace us in different jobs, and we will face a new question mark. Why should I even do anything if everything can be automized and replaced what I've previously done? Another interesting question is the evolution of a therapy, because normally a therapy, it looks like there are two persons in the same room. And then with the COVID, we were just getting used to the online therapy consultations, which just means that a person sits in the room and faces a screen, and that's all. Even though on the other side of the screen there is a human being, at the end of the day, it's nothing else but looking at a screen. So it's not so big of a jump to arrive to the first stage where the client needs a screen, but on the other side there is a robot or an algorithm or a chatbot. And that's something that millions of people use now already. And then probably we will arrive to the fourth stage when again we come into the same room, but in front of you there will be a robot instead of a human therapist. And let's take a look at the top risks of AI therapy, because there are many, of course. And the first is that it's a delusional relationship. If you remember to the movie Her, you know what I'm talking about. But the real human-human therapy is a kind of delusional as well, because the projection, you need to feel these kind of intimacy that you are really paying for, and your therapist is not your friend at the end of the day. And then there is the question of over-reliance and dependence. So if this partner or assistant or therapist is available for you non-stop, then who knows how you will really use it. And then that's again a big question, especially from the cybersecurity viewpoint, that what will happen with your data. And these are really sensitive and personal data. And then that's the inaccurate diagnosis or treatment that an AI therapist can give you if there is not controlled by a human psychiatrist. And then there are the unknown long-term effects of this relationship. No one knows actually now where it leads us, and I also am not able to answer to this question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. After László created this recording, I realized that actually we have 40 minutes for this presentation, not 30. So there were a couple of subjects that he didn't touch, but as we were discussing with him earlier, this presentation I found very interesting and surprising. And there are many AI offerings already, sex bots and love bots, obviously, but the more important were the dead bots, which I didn't get the point of. This means that it is possible to train an artificial intelligence with text, social media recordings from a deceased relative. And then with this custom model, you can have personal discussions with your deceased loved one. And it turns out that it is extremely important from a therapeutic point of view, because a lot of trauma is left in people because there were unexpressed thoughts and unfinished sentences with your deceased loved ones. And this puts a lot of pressure on the ones who are left behind. And a lot of psychotherapy goes into great lengths to release these blocks and to enable the people to speak out what they couldn't speak to their loved ones. And it is a lot easier to do with a dashboard that has the personality and speaks like the deceased relative, other than the psychiatrist, who is just a person. And the other thing is, what I didn't think would be, is that the initial trust is easier to establish with an AI-based therapist than with a human person. Because with a human, when you go to a psychiatrist for the first time, there is a strange person standing in front of you who has preconceptions, who has bad days, who may be judgmental for you. So it's not easy to open up at the beginning. Imagine it with an artificial intelligence therapist. None of them is a problem, because you know that whatever you say, you will not be judged by that, because the other party will not have any emotions related to that. So it is much easier to take the first couple of steps of the therapy with an AI-based assistant. That leads to the conclusions of this presentation. In my opinion, experience, AI is an exceptional conversationalist. Not so much a problem solver, but hey, can easily harvest a vast amount of knowledge and will answer any question. That is a benefit. It is also a problem, because it will answer any question, even if the knowledge that it builds on is very lacking regarding that subject or controversial. The AI will answer you. It might have hallucinations, but even if it does that, it is very convincing, as I could see for myself in my AI hallucination problem, as you can experience with it. So it is an extremely useful tool, and I encourage you, every one of you use it. I use it on an everyday basis. But always take it with a pinch of salt. Double check everything if you want to really use it. Thank you very much for your attention.